This Judeo-Nazi, as Yeshayahu Leibovich, a great Israeli professor, used to refer to him, this Judeo-Nazi actually understood the true spirit of his people. He didn't lie. He wasn't like Shimon Peres, or Rabin, or Barak, or Tzipi Livni. By the way, Benjamin Netanyahu, we don't like him, but he tells the truth. How embarrassing it is. Any more questions? Yeah.
Who do they call the Israeli right wing or right wing when it seems that about 92% of Israelis want all of Palestine gone? I mean, Palestinians gone.
What percentage of it?
92%.
92%, yes, I have 2%.
So is it really a wing, you know?
You know, I don't like, I think that you're right, you're so right. Because we have this myth that Israel is a Western democratic state, we like to think that we have a discourse, a dichotomy between right and left. Nonsense. Nonsense. By the way, this was the dream. The Zionist dream, let me shock you, the Zionist dream was the most beautiful dream. They said, we are ugly people. It's not Gilad. These are the early Zionists. This is Herzl, Nordau, Jabotinsky, Bolchov. They said, we are awful people. We are capitalists, we are usurers, we don't work. But it's not our fault. Oh, it's not our fault. It's because we don't have a land. Once we have a land, we will be civilized. And they went to Palestine, and they started to work in the fields, and built houses, and did wonderful things for at least 2 weeks. Then they found out that the Palestinians were cheaper. I'm talking here in metaphorical. But we have this image that they invest in, presenting Israel as a liberal society. If you are a tribal society, they are a tribal society, racially driven. If you are not a Jew, you'll find it very hard to immigrate to Israel. While many Israelis can immigrate to this country, or anywhere else. It's a racially driven, I do the driven, you know, to understand in Scotland. A racially driven society, expansionist. It is actually Nazi-like. And this is exactly the kind of truth we are supposed to consider in order not to offend the Jews. The entire Palestinian solidarity discourse is a set of fake terminology that is set cleverly and carefully not to offend the Jews. And guess what? They achieved nothing. And guess what? They were not supposed to achieve anything. It's all there. It's a peace, P-I-S-S process. Peace-taking process. Maybe last question?
You were in the IDF? And,
I'm still, yeah.
So, I don't know what I don't know much about it, but I've seen a lot of, I know that there are a lot of young Israelis, soldiers, of all ranks and all branches that are saying that they've had enough and they do not want to. That
You're right.
Looking at, and I'm thinking, how can you make this more than just isolated, and how can these people they'll never find a legitimate place like they can't go to it's the Knesset, right?
Let me explain, I know where you're
I
at.
don't know where people, like I said, how did they get to some traction to say, listen, why don't we stop flying our F-16s over the people's houses at 20 feet?
You're right. Ideologically, intellectually, spiritually, Israel is a genocidal apparatus. But life, I'm Athenian, yeah? So rather than looking at black, white, 1, 2, 0, 1 binary oppositions, what we see is a dialectic struggle. What we see is a dialectic struggle. On the one hand, Israel wants the Palestinian gone, as Kahana, whom I just mentioned, predicted back in the 80s. On the other end, if you want the Palestinian gone, someone should do the dirty job. And here you have a problem. Because the Israelis, they're like you, they're hedonists, they want iPod, schmipod, guypod, dipod, zipod. They're Macintosh consumers. They don't want to die. Like the American soldiers, they don't want to die. I understand it. And if you don't want to die, it's not very easy to sustain an ethnic cleansing policy. So what we see is struggle that doesn't lead anywhere. And if we are very, very lucky, and this is why, in spite of the fact that many of my friends and intellectual friends actually regard Mahmoud Abbas as a collaborator and blah, 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 I think that he's far from being stupid. He realizes that for the Palestinians to win, they have to survive. And in order to make sure that they survive, they cannot get themselves into an active military struggle with the Israelis. The Israelis can kick all of them in no time. He wants to make sure that they're still there in 30, 40 years, and by then it will become Palestine. Not because there is a negotiation or political resolution, because of the facts on the ground. Inshallah. Thank you so much. Now let me